Welcome, everyone, to the Awakened Life, where new age babes come for life and business tips. This episode is sponsored by Brianna Rose Branding and the Divine Duo. My name is Brianna Rose, and my lovely co host is Julia Portela. Say hi, Julia.
Hi.
Hello, hello. So, tonight's theme is trusting your intuition. So, at the end of the show, we're going to be hosting on air readings.
Hi.
And you can submit your questions to the Awakened Life 4 at gmail.com. And at the end of the show, we'll go through the readings if we have any time, and we'll perform those readings for you guys. We're really excited about that. So, Julia, do you want to talk about what's in the stars and a little bit about the astrology for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, so I really wanted to focus on only 3 things because there's so much that goes on astrologically.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to start narrowing it down. So at the end of this week, on the 28th, Mercury is going into retrograde. Yes,
I love it.
actually feel the same way because I'm a Gemini, and some people say that if you're, Mercury rules Gemini. So some people say if you're born under a certain sign, it affects you more, and some people say it affects you less. I happen to think it affects me less because I'm a Gemini. But I was also born under a Mercury retrograde. So I was born in that kind of crazy energy to begin with. But, Mercury retrograde is the most popular retrograde, and it's a time where communication and all things communication related, phones, computers, email, even your car, which I know is not necessarily communication, but heavy technology, is all kind of funky and weird. It kind of just goes like haywire. And I know I'll be interested to see now that I've switched my phone, because my iPhone used to just turn on and off. Like it wasn't doing anything. I wasn't getting a message, but it would just blink on and off. And I'd be like, all right, Mercury's in retrograde. So Mercury will be in retrograde until May 22nd. And it's a good time to do anything with the word re. But for this retrograde in particular, I'm feeling like it's good for the reorganization or the rebranding, and maybe I'm a little biased because that's where I'm at, but I really feel like it's a good time to kind of organize your thoughts there and then really plow forward, once Mercury goes direct on the 22nd. So that's where we're at for Mercury retrograde, which is one of my favorite retrogrades too. Out of all the planets that go retrograde, Mercury is the best one. And then April 29th, Venus comes home to Taurus. And all of this there's been like a lot of romantic energy and like a heavy focus on romance and the love life and all that kind of stuff in the past couple months. And the energy really gets a lot softer when it comes home to Venus, when it comes home to Taurus, because Taurus is very loyal, and they're all about long-lasting relationships and long-term relationships. So it definitely like lightens up a little bit, which I really like, because I've kind of been in that romantic down spiral. So it's coming to an end for all of you people out there like me. And if you're an earth sign, anybody that's a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn, this energy is going to impact you directly, because anything that's in an earth sign right now is highlighted because Venus is in an earth sign. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about, there's obviously a lot going on astrologically, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about, we're in Taurus, which is a new sign. We've already entered it. And Taurus is one of my favorite signs. Mostly because it means it's going to be my birthday next month. But but I like Taurus because Taurus is slow and it's stable, and it really fits very well with this energy of Mercury retrograde, which is all about reorganizing and redirecting and refocusing. And during that energy, you have some time to really be slow and steady with your process. And for people like me that are always on the go, it's a little bit hard, but you want to remember that, and I don't know why I feel like this is particularly business-based, but I feel like if you're in that energy where you are reorganizing or revamping or redoing, then you have to remember that slow and steady is the one that wins the race. And that's why this time of Taurus, this next month, is going to be really powerful as we shift into that new energy. So that's kind of what's going on here. And also, Taurus rules the throat and the neck and the vocal cords. So it's all about communication as well, which is really interesting because a lot of people tag that with Gemini because Mercury rules them. But it's actually interesting since Taurus is what actually rules that physical space of the neck and the vocal cords. So it actually also fits right in with the Mercury retrograde.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool, right? I love astrology.
And it's funny that you're talking about how the retrograde is all about the whatever, whatever, maybe it is a rebrand, because being a branding specialist, what I've noticed is like I would say probably the past 2 weeks, I keep getting people just want rebrand. So it's like they were on the cusp of the retrograde coming in, and now all of a sudden everyone wants to revamp everything. They just kind of want to find their voice, which, how you said, is exactly what Taurus is all about, how it rules the third chakra and the self-expression. And also, like, people feel like they're lost in their businesses and their careers, and they're trying to revamp everything. So it's really interesting that you brought that up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, good job. I always love your astrology.
I'm glad it's fitting with the energy of what's going on, because I obviously don't see that business side of it. So it's cool energetically, even though I'm going through it because I am revamping my business. But it's interesting to see that other people are also in that energy. And that's why I love astrology, because it's just so spot on like that.
Definitely. Can't make it up.
No, you can't.
All right. So as I said before, this episode, it's going to be all about trusting your intuition. And we're going to be speaking about the different levels of consciousness and how that impacts our daily lives and our business and career lives as well. Julia will be discussing all the different levels, as that is her forte. And I'll be going into how to tap into your higher consciousness in your career and business life, and how that can really increase your profits and your career growth as well. So Julia, do you want to discuss the different levels of consciousness and basically how to reach them, how to tap into them, and how that all works?
Yeah, so there's 3 different levels of consciousness. There is superconscious, there is subconscious, and there is consciousness. And we're probably familiar with consciousness and subconscious, and I think superconscious is something that's kind of a little bit further out there that most people don't understand. And I have to admit, for a very long while, I didn't understand it either until one of my very good mentors kind of took me through the process and really showed me how to reach that level. And I'm hoping that I can impart her knowledge with you guys tonight. But I wanted to start with consciousness. Consciousness is great because it's something we're fully aware of, right? It's a feeling, thought, idea that you are totally in control of and aware that you're feeling that, thinking that, experiencing this experience. And so consciousness is great, in my opinion, not for many reasons, but once you learn about all the different levels, it's a lot harder to come back into that conscious state. It really is. Do you agree?
Totally.
Because spirituality is all about connecting to your consciousness through all of these 3 layers. And the conscious layer is actually the most shallow. So it's kind of where your ego sits, not always, but most of the time. Mm-hmm. And it's where I like to say surface words exist, right? So I feel happy, or I feel sad, or I'm angry. These are all kind of words that are not untrue, but have a deeper connection to them that you might not be getting to. So you might know that you feel sad, and it might be because somebody bumped into you, or somebody did this, or you experienced that, but you might not be getting to the real deep-rooted issue on why that feeling surfaced when that experience happened. And that's why I think the consciousness is probably my least favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It is the easiest to manipulate. So I guess in that sense, it's good. So the ego is something I was just talking about. And before I move on, the ego is a heavy part of this conscious layer. And when I say ego, I don't mean something bad. Because I think that the ego and the higher self are sometimes in battle, but I think that they also work, simultaneously to create this life that you want. And I truly believe that we came here to experience these kind of ego thoughts. Otherwise, we would have just stayed in the angel, the angelic realm.
Mm-hmm.
So the ego is just a part of you that is sometimes trying to delay you from your highest good. And when you start to bring that thought and that concept into your consciousness, you'll see how much easier it is for you to get to the other levels, because you'll be able to separate these different identities between the ego and the higher self, and which one is really talking to you. So with that being said, we'll go into the subconscious.
I always had that was always tricky for me when I was first awakening, was figuring out, is this really my higher consciousness or my higher self speaking to me, or is it my ego telling me that I should do this? So I think that's like, it's interesting that you said that, because I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, it's definitely something. I still struggle with this. I mean,
so pendulums are good for.
Well, actually, I have a hard time with my pendulum, because I feel like pendulums can be manipulated by the answer that I want. So the pendulum doesn't always work for me. It works better for me if I'm asking for somebody else, because I'm detached from the outcome.
Exactly.
But now when I'm attached to something, when I'm thinking about something and I want it, I know that my ego is persuading it a little bit. So there is kind of consistently this battle between what you want, for yourself as your physical self and your conscious being. You want a relationship with a specific person, or you want your career to look a certain way, or you want this particular job in this particular position. And it's sort of these things that you become inflexible about that are really attached to your ego, when in reality, once you start to get to that higher level, that super conscious level, once you get there, you realize, well, maybe something bigger than me has a different plan. Yeah. And that this plan will never be worse than what I had already anticipated or imagined. And it's a really hard concept to grasp. And it's something that I'm constantly working through. And there's a lot of things that I have an easier time getting into that level with, and a lot of things that I'm still very ego-based about. So it's interesting. I think a lot of people, no matter where they are on their spiritual path, kind of are always going through this cycle of conscious, subconscious, superconscious, and figuring it out. And it's cool. When you get somewhere with that superconscious level, you're just like, your mind is blown. So the subconscious is a part of your mind, or thoughts or feelings that you're not fully aware of, but that influence your actions. So this is kind of where those, surface words go a little bit deeper, right? I might be sad about something because of abandonment issues. And that word abandonment or resentment and, those words that are a little bit deeper, that have a little bit more meaning, and that are not necessarily rooted to what just happened 10 minutes ago, but something that almost probably happened in your childhood. That's where your subconscious comes in. It's sort of like this compass that you have, that it's influencing you on a level that you don't realize is truly there. And it's interesting because between all three layers of consciousness, we're still sort of aware that the subconscious exists and that things are coming from a place that we don't necessarily know about. It's sort of like Inception. And actually, the example that I wrote down was The Wizard of Oz. And you know me with my fairy tale. But it's true, you know. The wizard, right, is this big green face, right? When Dorothy walks into Emerald City, she sees this big green face and the smoke and the tricks and all of that stuff. And that's consciousness, right? She's aware of what's going on. And that's her only awareness, is this big face in front of her. And then the subconscious takes it a little bit deeper, right? It's the curtain. It's not the man, but it's the curtain. And you just see that there's something a little bit deeper and something that's piquing your curiosity. And, well, what's over there? But you can't necessarily see it. It's blocked off. And that's what I think is so cool about the subconscious, but it's still influencing you. I hope I'm doing a good job explaining this. It's kind of a confusing concept to go through all three layers.
Keep going.
But this is where I think manifestation comes from, is this subconscious thought, bringing that subconscious into your conscious awareness. And I wrote down a specific example. I have, romance is like so heavy on my mind in particular, but, in astrology as well. So I wrote down, I have a lot of issues with my birth father, and that often impacts my romantic relationships, even though I don't necessarily always make that connection. So whenever I go through a pattern, which right now I'm going through, my romantic life, but there's patterns in my career and there's patterns in my personal life or my friendships or my family. You see a pattern when you start to feel a certain way about a certain situation over and over and over again. And it's where you tend to victimize yourself. So why is this always happening to me? Why me? And when you start to talk like that, then you know that there's something coming from the subconscious that you need to release and heal. And that's about as deep as I can take you there, because only you will know where that compass is taking you. And the first thing that comes to your mind when I had said victimize, that's where you need to work on and really get down to that deep issue, right? Like, it took me years to realize that I had abandonment issues and that I was manifesting people that in my romantic life that were coming in and out very quickly, not because they didn't care about me, but because I was so afraid of being abandoned. And that's that deeper subconscious level. And once you bring that into your consciousness, you can release it. And trust me, then something else from your subconscious will come up. It never stops. The work never stops. The superconscious is probably my favorite. I'm a little biased because I'm a spiritualist. But it transcends human thoughts, and it's just this hub of information in time and space that coexists with the subconscious and the conscious. And this is where Dorothy opens the curtain and finds the man. And it's this beautiful, it is. I'm like, it's such a beautiful moment. No, it's this beautiful, beautiful moment where you realize, wow, what I thought was true was not. And something else was playing me.
This is where the awakening happens.
Yes, it truly is. And I kind of, the superconscious still kind of blows my mind because it's this kind of sci-fi thing where there's a lot of quantum physics that go into it, and a lot of heavy science that goes into this kind of super conscious realm that I can't grasp or understand, but that I've experienced over and over again. And so I can just do my best with what I experience. But, it's where creative solutions come in. And again, with the Wizard of Oz, because I think it's a great example, the Tin Man wants a heart and the Scarecrow wants a brain, and the lion wants courage, and those are all surface words, right? And what solution do they get when they go there? They don't really get a heart to love, or, you know, really get a brain or anything like that, but they get these sort of symbols of knowledge or courage or love, and it's sort of this creative solution to a problem that they created themselves. And that's where I love the super conscious. It's a creative solution. It's where creative solutions happen to self-made problems, because all of these problems that are going on in your subconscious that are brought into your consciousness are things that might be past life related, or you know, come from like a deeper issue like abandonment or resentment or depression, but they're all sort of manifested by you. And it's the superconscious is where this power comes in, right? It's where you are consciously, but also simultaneously, subconsciously and unconsciously creating this experience with a higher being. And that's whatever higher being you want to put your faith in. And that's what the universe or God or angels or Lucas in my case, it's whatever you're kind of putting your faith in and believing in that is creating this. And it's such a remarkable energy to live in, because it's truly where the divine miracles are happening. And they always happen in these kind of creative ways that you never imagined, or that you never really could have imagined, because it's your thoughts that come from this network of space that you didn't really create, but that everyone has created and that no one has created. It's kind of crazy. It's one of my favorite places to be. And it's a lot of the times when you see a psychic or a medium, they're usually accessing this super conscious level. Not all of them, but if you're seeing one that's worthwhile, they should be accessing the super conscious level and bringing it down into your subconscious and then bringing it into your conscious awareness. So a good psychic or a good medium is reading on all three levels and making it presentable to you. So that's a little bit about consciousness.
Yeah, no, that was great. So what would you say? You would say that consciousness is basically where we're at right now in like our human body. And then the subconsciousness is like the energy that's outside of ourselves, almost like that, like white noise that's going on in the background that's kind of manifesting and co-creating our reality. And then the superconscious is you, but you connecting with the source higher and greater than yourself, whether it's God, the universe, your angels, whatever it might be, and having that divine connection with them, creating your reality that way, or receiving guidance or connecting, or, you know, whatever it is, whatever you might be doing in your daily life. Is that basically like the shortened version?
Yes.
Beautiful. No, but you said it so amazingly. I just want to make sure that I was catching up.
Yeah, it's a really hard concept to start to like really work on those three levels. Really, but once you do,
like, this is just like, you know, like the 15-minute version, but it's so much deeper than what even Julia is saying, and she did such an amazing job of explaining the three different levels, because I think it's so hard to explain it. It's so hard to even understand as well, even if you are spiritually awakened. Just to even understand that concept it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, this is like what I think about at night. Like in the shower. I'm like having these deep thoughts about consciousness and these levels of consciousness and how vast and massive and unbelievable the universe really is. And when you start to really get into that energy, you are connecting
to the flow.
Yeah, it's really so crazy. It's one of my favorite parts of spirituality. This really philosophical kind of topic of the layers or levels of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like we've all, even if you aren't spiritually awakened, we've all had those moments where you kind of wonder, how did you know that? Or why did that happen? Or, maybe you were supposed to be in a car accident and then somehow you were saved. Or, we all have these situations, these moments in our lives where it makes us sit there and question, even for the people that aren't the believers. You have to know that there's something out there that is intervening into your daily life, that something greater than yourself that you can't even physically see is there, helping you out, co-creating your reality.
So amazing, isn't it?
It is. Oh, I love it. And I don't know, I always feel like it's almost like a safety blanket too, because you know that there's something else out there that completely has your back, and is like just ready to hook you up big time.
Yeah, it's really such a beautiful feeling when you can get into that super conscious level and surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I have an easy time doing that with my business.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm not micromanaging the rest of my life. I have an easier time though detaching from. I just know that this is my path and that I'm supposed to be doing this, and I get a lot of brilliant ideas, and I just know that if it's not now, it will come to fruition. I have a lot more faith in my career because it feels so right.
Definitely.
And so when I'm in my business, that's why I love doing what I do, because I am so connected in that, super conscious level. Ironically, I'm a light worker, but also because I'm very passionate about my path, it's so easy to just kind of say, well, I know somebody's got this.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that on some level, somewhere in this vast time, between lives, because I believe in past lives, that somewhere I sat down with a team of people far more knowledgeable than me who helped me write things that are going on in my day-to-day life. And when I really think about that, I really start to I don't know, it's so touching.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy concept to wrap your brain around, to think that every situation, whether it's good or bad, that you have in your life, that you contracted that in somehow, that's like part of your path.
Well, and it's really empowering too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of in the spot right now where I've gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, we all have. Everyone has trials and tribulations. And I'll tell you right now, it gets a lot easier to get over it when you're ready to say to yourself that not you, this physical carrying case that you're in, not this vessel maybe with your current thoughts, chose this, but your soul did. And your essence did, and you chose to have this experience. And when you start to look at it that way, it becomes really empowering, actually, that you can survive it because you picked it.
Exactly.
And it's a very empowering thing. And that's, a lot of my goal is to reach people and tell them that they can be empowered, because on a super conscious level, you chose this.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes the victim out of it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think that's how this all plays into your intuition, right? And connecting with your super conscious and your subconscious. And that really, your intuition is something that's outside of you and within you.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people think like, oh, it's my intuition. It's my intuition. It's like, yeah, it's your intuition. It is something within you, but I think it's something greater than you that's triggering that feeling inside of you and giving you that validation to continue to go further or to stop what you're doing.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I don't even consider my intuition and the super conscious. I actually consider, right, my intuition is almost like a vessel or a train that allows me to connect to the super conscious.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it allows me to plug into that hub of information. But connecting to that super conscious level is, to me, how I feel when my guides come to me, or when somebody that is not you and that you identify as not you comes to you and impacts you and allows you to then consciously make a spiritually based decision. And I'm saying spiritually based because if you're connected to that super conscious level, whether you know it or not, you're making a spiritually based decision. Whether it's in your career or your relationships or your friendships or your finances, wherever it's coming into play for you, it's coming from somewhere else through you in order to be channeled in this sort of divine light. And that's the amazing part of it.
It's like, how could you worry then?
Exactly.
Even though I do worry all the time, but when you actually sit there and you think about it, it's like, why am I even freaking out? I'm being guided. And sometimes you just have to, again, like how you were saying, you have to surrender and just let that divine guidance flow through you and work its magic and see where it takes you.
And I have a hard time with this. And I know a lot of people that are listening probably also have a hard time with this. It's a really hard thing to surrender control to something bigger than you, especially when it's something you can't see. And I'm starting to really learn that every single time I learn how to let go, and this is sort of where I am right now, right? Like I get the cards, in my cards I'll get let go or detach. And my big question is how? How do I do that? And if I don't get this done, it'll never get done. And that's how I feel sometimes. It's a lot of self-pressure, first of all. And second of all, it's just a slap in the face to the divine that you don't trust them and that you don't believe that they'll come through and work on your behalf. And when I really sit down and think about the times that my divine guidance has led me somewhere more beautiful than I imagined, all I need to do, first of all, is think about Disney. And that just solves it for me. But I really think about it, and I think like all of the times I've been in love or have been guided to new friends or have been guided to new business relationships or to clients that have impacted me and I've so impacted them, and vacations or travels, and you start to really build this list, and it's not necessarily a gratitude list, but it's just a list of confirmation that every time I've allowed that force to do better than I could, it's a humbling list that makes you realize that you don't always want what's best for yourself.
Or you can't always see it either.
Yeah. You see it so clearly in one way, right? I'd be more happy if I had more money. And you're going about manifesting money, right? And the reality is you haven't sat down and gotten clear about your goals. Manifesting comes really big into all three levels of the consciousness. But you sat down, you haven't really defined your goals, and why do you want money? For me, money is really important because to me, I want to travel. And I don't want to travel, and traveling means that I've spent every dime in my bank account. I want to make sure that I can travel comfortably and come home and be able to pay my bills. And you want to do those things, right? But then you manifest a free trip, and then at the end of the month, you're looking at, well, why didn't I get any money? But you still got what you wanted. So it is getting really clear on those goals too, and accepting what the universe served you, because really your consciousness is telling you, right, I want money, but your subconscious is saying, well, why? And that's I want to travel, or I want this, or I want a house. And the superconscious is what's co-creating with that subconscious thought to bring that manifestation into your conscious reality. It's really cool.
Oh, it's so cool. Thank you so much for explaining that. I even learned a few things.
I'm glad.
So we've been talking about our higher consciousness and all the levels of consciousness and our intuition. So I was thinking now might be a good time to do a intuition activation meditation, just to open us up and just to show the viewers and the listeners how to connect with their intuition and to open up that gateway from not only themselves, but up to their super consciousness. What do you think, Julia?
Absolutely. I love your meditations. They're so powerful.
It's not me. It's my super consciousness.
It is. It is through you, through this beautiful vessel that is you.
Thank you. All right. I'm blushing over here. So everyone that's listening or that will be listening, just get cozy. And I want you could either lay down if you'd like, or you could sit up and just have your palms facing upwards like this, because this is putting you into receiving mode. And then when you shut your eyes, focus your eyes inwards and upwards, because that will be activating your third eye chakra, which is actually your intuition. So as you shut your eyes, just begin to take a deep breath in, filling up your stomach, your chest, and your throat, and then push it out. And just begin to settle into your breath, releasing any worries or fears that this day might have brought you, and push them out with each breath that you take. Feel your shoulders begin to relax, and then your neck. You can even roll your head around if you'd like, just really getting comfortable and cozy into this sacred space that we're creating together. And then bring your awareness to your heart center. And I want you to envision a beautiful rose here. Envision a rose swirling here in a clockwise motion. And as it swirls, envision this rose blooming and opening up and sending this beautiful white light energy from your heart center all the way up through your crown, pushing out of your crown almost like a lid on top of your head, opening wide up. And feel that rose almost like a turning wheel that is opening up all of that beautiful white light that is from within you and creating that portal up to your super consciousness, up to your higher consciousness. Opening yourself up to something greater than yourself that has been dying to connect with you, to help you serve, to help you make decisions, and to help you feel the love that surrounds you and the love that is within you. Feel that energy rising up from your heart center, up through your throat, up through your third eye, and then up and out of your crown, making that connection with the divine, whether that be your God, your angels, the ascended masters, or just the universe. Feel that connection straight up, pulling you up. And begin to feel that beautiful energy flow through you. Begin to connect with you. And begin to feel the peace that sets in within your body. Feel your energy rising. And feel that connection that you've just made with yourself and your higher self. You may begin to sway with the energy that is pulsating around you. Allow it to move through you and to connect with you for your highest good. Take one more deep breath in and push it out. And when you're ready, open your eyes to the room and just notice how you're feeling, which shifts that have set in.
Wow.
How you doing?
That was powerful.
Oh, thank you.
I know I really needed that. Yeah, it did. It just, I knew coming into tonight that we had talked about this kind of earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Knew something powerful was going to go on. I don't know what just shifted inside of me, but I just feel, I don't know.
Beautiful. I kind of felt like it was some sort of download. And I know that's a word that me and Julia probably throw around a lot, but a download is basically just you receiving information from something greater outside of yourself that is just basically downloading the information into you so that you can understand what's happening in your world and what will be happening in your world.
Yes, and that's actually something great to talk about for the consciousness and the subconscious and the superconscious, because you're downloading from a superconscious level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all getting downloads. It doesn't matter if you're awake or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the earth is shifting right now. We're in the middle of this, and maybe one day this will be something that we talk about, but the earth is shifting into a different realm of consciousness itself, the whole earth as a being. And we inhabitants are also shifting our consciousness, and that's why there's this massive spiritual awakening going on.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a download, you're getting psychic information or spiritual information that comes and implants itself into your subconscious, right? Something that you don't know exists, but you feel the ramifications of it on a physical level, which would be your consciousness. So you get a download that happens to be about your perception and shifting your perception into great love or more peace or something like that. And that resides in your subconscious. And then for the next 3 days, you have a terrible headache and you can't figure out why. It's not because you're dehydrated, you're not sick, you don't have attention. It's your glasses are fine. You never get headaches. You don't understand. Well, it's something that you absorbed from the superconscious level, have had to take that high vibrational frequency energy and manifest it into your body so that it can download and implement. And that's another cool way, because there's a lot of people are experiencing physical
symptoms.
Yeah, I was like, pushback. What do I say? Some physical symptoms, due to these downloads. I know that I get them. I never used to nap until last August. And now I take a nap almost every day because I'm getting so much from the super conscious level that sometimes I actually astral project out of my body because my body is just changing frequency so much that my soul can't even stay on that level. So I know it's a little deep.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about what we're saying, if we're saying something that is just like right over your head, just shoot us an email and we'll explain it.
Because I know that this topic in particular is a little deep, but it's one that's going on every day, no matter whether you're awake or not, and it's impacting you in your life and your physical body, and definitely in your careers, especially for entrepreneurs and especially for spiritualists.
Definitely.
If you're a spiritualist too that hasn't started your own business yet, it's like, yeah, they're calling for you. Knock, knock.
And then call me.
Yeah, exactly. You'll call our business healer and branding specialist.
So funny. Yeah, so your super consciousness is basically your higher consciousness. And for those of you who don't know, your higher consciousness is basically the most pure version of yourself. Think of it that way. Don't even try to label it as someone or something else. It's just you. It's just you without the ego. It's you as if you had the bird's eye view of your life and you knew what your life plan was. It's exactly what I think that we all want to have the eyes to see. But if we're able to connect with that energy of ourselves, the most purest version of ourselves, we're able to receive more divine information that will able to help us to propel forward in our lives and our careers and our businesses. What do you think, Julia? Is that how you feel about the higher consciousness too?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's impacting my business in such a great way. And it's so beautiful to watch how I'm getting these downloads and then I bring it to you and then you get these kind of crazy downloads, and together, I know I speak about my business a lot, but only because I'm redoing it right now and going through my own rebrand. And, you've been there every step of the way. So speaking from experience, I can just say our super conscious is consistently impacting my business.
Everything.
And it's amazing to watch how abundant you feel just in shifting that energy and being in that kind of downloaded area, because I know for myself, I'm not making any more money than I normally do, but I actually, it's just a feeling that I have, that I just feel like my business is about to bust wide open and have this major impact on my life. And I feel like I'm about to really reach all those people that I wanted to, and I'm about to really create the relationships that I wanted to. And it starts to domino effect from physical abundance, right? Money, to other forms of abundance, and your emotions. And it's so interesting because for me, it's especially coming through my business, but I think for a lot of people, this is something that's impacting them, whether they have a spiritual career or not. And that's why I kind of told all of my friends that work in the city today to tune in, because I knew that you'd be giving us some really cool tips.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, you guys need to listen. I was like, I know you're not all spiritualists, but she will help you grow your business.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in order to be successful, you really, even if you're not spiritual, I think it's about trusting your gut, which is really trusting your intuition. And what is your intuition? Your intuition is not only within you, but it's having that connection to your higher consciousness, your super consciousness. And I know that I've been kind of posting on social media saying how to make your higher consciousness your business manager, because in order to make the decisions that are for your highest good, who better to do that than yourself? And a lot of times we can't do it ourselves because we're so wrapped up in all of the anxiety and the fear that we live with from our day-to-day lives. Maybe we're stressed out about bills, or maybe we're just trying to figure out what decisions to make. And a lot of times that's really stressful on us, and it really dampers our energy. And in order to really succeed, it's to have that pure connection to your guides, your angels, or your higher consciousness. And once you're able to make that connection, you just open up, like just like how Julia was saying, you open up and you feel so abundant. And although maybe you haven't had any radical shifts yet, you just know that something is coming for you. So that's where the higher consciousness really plays into your business. That's where your intuition really plays into your business. Because if you're not strong yourself, if you're not fully able to make any decisions on your own, if you're wishy-washy going back and forth, well, guess what? That's going to be reflected in your business and your career too, because you attract who you are. So if you're not confident, if you're insecure, if you're fearful, you're just going to bring more of that into your reality. Because remember, you co-create your reality with your subconscious and then your superconscious. So if you're in this dark place, that's what you're going to continually bring in. Nothing else is going to be able to awaken you or shed you of that darkness. It has to be coming from yourself. And with your higher consciousness, it's just this beautiful connection of knowing. And that's basically the dumbed down version of what I could say is just simply knowing and just simply allowing yourself to be guided, to be able to make the decisions that you need to make, to be able to say, you know what, this is where I really want to take my business, or maybe I really want to start this business finally, or I want to switch careers, whatever it is. It's allowing yourself to feel those emotions and to act upon them, and to be completely guided and to be completely open to this beautiful divine guidance that is just waiting to hook you up. And I think a lot of people just forget about that. They think that maybe they're not good enough to receive this information, or maybe, like they're just not spiritually like there yet. When the reality is you have so many, like whether it's ascended masters, or everyone has their own guides, everyone has their own angels. Like there's so many people out there that are just waiting to give you all of this beautiful information and to say, this is what you need to do. Let me help you. And I think that's the biggest challenge that people have, is not accepting the help, or not thinking that they're good enough to accept the help from their guides, their angels, their ascended masters, their higher consciousness. Like they just feel like, you know what, why me? Why me? And I know that that's how I felt too. I was like, why would they give me information? Like, why I'm not good enough to receive that information? And you know what? The reality is we're all one, we're all connected, we're all at the same level. And the beauty of it is that there's more than enough to go around. And in the spirit world, they can move, and it's like time doesn't matter. They can be in 50 million places and be able to reach as many people as I need to reach. And they're not just stuck with one person like how we are here on the earth plane. So when you do feel like maybe I shouldn't reach out to my guides because maybe they're busy, guess what? Their life purpose and spirit is to help you out. And you're just wasting time by not connecting with them. So again, like how I was saying, to make your higher consciousness your business manager is really to be able to connect with yourself whenever you're making any decisions. So for me personally, before I make any decision, I meditate. Because you know what? I can't make a clear decision if I'm not meditating, if I'm not clearing away my ego, clearing away any fear, allowing those messages to move through you. And I forget who I heard this from, but prayer is speaking to God or speaking to the universe, speaking to whoever you want to speak to, and meditation is listening. So meditation is that vessel that you can communicate and receive those messages that you need to receive for your highest good. So if anything's going on in your business and you can't make a decision, or you don't know really where to take your business, or maybe you just want to start a business, just stop, drop, and meditate. Just stop what you're doing, sit there, and even if it's just for 5 minutes, just sit there and breathe and see what images come through you. See what you might even hear something. It depends on how you're going to receive messages from spirit, but it'll really allow that space to open up and know that you're always protected, that you're loved, nothing bad's going to happen, but just sit there with yourself and see what you hear, see what you see what you feel. You might even feel spirit. People receive messages again in all different ways. There's not just one set way on how you're going to receive information. So being able to be with yourself, being able to just sit and give yourself the time to do that, it's completely okay. So allow yourself to sit, allow yourself to receive those messages and see where it takes you. A lot of times I'll just sit there and I'll say, show me, guide me, show me what you got. Because you know what, again, like how Julia was saying, it's always something greater than what you could have ever even envisioned. It's always something we have this human minds, and like we can only see like, right here, when in reality they have this whole grand spectrum of what you should be doing in your life and all these beautiful opportunities that you cannot see from where you are. And again, they always have your life plan like written out on the palm of their hand. So they know exactly what routes that you should be taking. So it's connecting with your intuition. It's connecting with your higher consciousness to receive those messages so that you can feel more confident in your business and in your life. And whenever you're feeling stressed out, take 2 minutes. Like all my friends know this. I run into the bathroom and just to clear myself, because sometimes I'm like in a business meeting and I just can't make a decision right then and there. And it's not a bad thing. I'm just like, you know what? I need time for me. I'm not going to make this hash decision. I'm going to go run into the bathroom for 2 minutes and just clear myself. And you have to respect yourself enough to give yourself the time to do that. What do you think, Julia?
It's funny because I was just going to say, didn't I talk about that on the podcast once? But actually, I talked about this in a video series that I was doing that I actually probably wasn't supposed to do because it ended up not working.
No way.
And yeah, it didn't work for the whole month. It just like a couple days in, I did a couple and it stopped. So I don't know if I was supposed to do those couple and not go, but I've gotten some guidance about it since then.
It's funny.
Some things that I'll be interested to talk to you about.
Okay.
But I actually talked about this one day on my on my video, where I said one of my best mindfulness tools is saying I need to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And because nobody will ever say no.
Mm-hmm. And
it's just by yourself, you close the stall and you just for just 1 second. And you're able to kind of you're able to reshift your energy, and it's such a beautiful tool and technique. So it's funny that having not listened to that, you said the same thing, that we kind of do the same thing, because it's such a great technique that I think not a lot of people use. But and I'm not a heavy meditator. I'm really not. I should have meditate more. It's actually like I probably don't meditate enough. But it's just this beautiful sort of gift that you get from the universe. And it always reminds me of this story. I wish I could remember the name of it. And one of my teachers, Terry, had told me this. And the two of us were like crying together. And it's the story, right, about this guy who ends up praying to God, please, I know that I'm dating Maria, and Maria wants to have, Maria doesn't want to have any kids, but, please let me get engaged to Maria and have 3 kids with her and have a house. And I want a house in this area with this type of lifestyle, and please let me have this career, and all of these prayers. And God writes him a letter back that says, you know, I know that you can't see what I see, but you're actually about to break up with Maria. She doesn't want what you want, and she'll never be able to make you happy because of that. And you're going to meet somebody even more wonderful that you can't even envision yet, who wants to have kids and the house and the life. And you're not going to live in this area because it's not good for you. And a tsunami is about to hit it in 2 years, and you're going to be wiped out if you stay here. So I'm going to give you the guidance to move somewhere else and live in this other house that's twice as big, twice as cheap, and twice as beautiful. You're going to have a different type of car than you envisioned, and you're not going to be working in this career because you're going to be working for yourself. And you can't see any of this yet, but I promise it's better than what you envision right now for yourself. And I was just so touched by my teacher reading this to me. And I started to cry because it's really this beautiful concept of creating something bigger than yourself and allowing somebody, or allowing this pure part of yourself, right? This part of yourself that doesn't want to get in its own way, to hold your physical hand and walk you to the life that you may not be dreaming of, but only because you don't know that you could be dreaming of it.
Exactly.
And it's such an amazing thought when you really think about it. And it's so
beautiful story.
Cool. I love that story. It's like, I wish I had it. I wish I had the actual reading of it, or could even remember the name. It's probably called like A Letter to God or something. But you could probably Google it and find it, because it's, the whole thing in itself is such a beautiful story, and it makes you really change your perspective and shift your perspective. And if that's one thing that, you know, our listeners walk away with today, that's what I really want people to walk away with, is you can shift your perception about how you think or feel about any one particular situation, person, place, or thing. And you can surrender that to your higher consciousness. And I don't know if I'm the best person to tell you how, because even I struggle with that. But if you find a good way, let me know, and we'll all support each other. And for me, a lot of the times it comes through journaling or through writing. But, you know, whatever way works for you, that you're able to surrender and release and allow it to get to the higher place that it needs to go. I promise every time that you do that, you will get twice as much in return. It's just such an amazing gift and law of the universe that happens.
Definitely. I agree. It's so beautiful. And it's amazing that we have it to tap into. Like, I feel like it's our biggest secret, that we just have to tell everyone about it.
Yeah, it is. Like the first time you watch
so good. It's right here. It's right here.
It is. It's a hard level to reach, but once you reach it, or when you go to a moment where you realize that you have reached that level, you'll be able to identify the different types of energy, because the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious levels all have a very unique and different feeling. And you'll be able to identify, there's no fear in the superconscious. There's just knowing and peace and serenity and harmony and calm and love and joy. And it's all these positive words that just guide you. And there's no fear. It's just faith and belief. And it's such a beautiful place to be in. So if you have even a slight doubt, you're either in your subconscious or your conscious levels, and you just need to release just a little bit more to get to that super conscious level and allow yourself to stand back.
I think it's important that you said that it's a sense of just knowing. And I think that that's like the point that I really would love to drive home, is that just in our human day-to-day life, we're always conflicted. We don't know what to do. We don't know what our path is, especially with millennials. Like, I feel like we're caught in this weird moment in our lives of, I'm growing up, what am I doing really?
Right.
You know, like, where is my path? What should I be doing? And should I really be sticking to this 9 to 5 job, although I'm miserable, or should I be following my passions? And I think that's the most beautiful thing about tapping into your super conscious, about connecting with your higher consciousness, is having this deeper sense of knowing. And that's why I like to call my higher consciousness my business manager, because it's this deep sense of knowing and allowing it to move through me, and teaching that to my clients so that they can feel so empowered by their message, by their brand, and creating just this beautiful freedom of not feeling stuck, of feeling like that they can do anything that they want because the universe has their back. That every decision that they make is divinely guided. So how could you ever be wrong? It's just like giving up the reins and surrendering, and allowing that energy to move through you and to guide through you, and to be able to just speak from a place, this deep place of knowing that just moves through you, and that helps you to connect with the right people, and to know what to say yes or no, and where to take your business or where to move. And it's just this beautiful place of co-creation, of creating your dreams and making them a reality. And one little tip that I always like to use is, when you have an idea and you don't know if you should say yes or no, if you don't know if you should do it, if you should start the blog, if you should start the business, if you should do a rebrand, whatever it might be, is ask the question to yourself, sit with it, and see where you feel the answer. And what I mean by that is are you feeling it in your chest, or are you feeling it in your lower stomach, in your sacral area? And a lot of times when you're feeling it in your chest, that's anxiety that's speaking to you. That's fear that's creating this like sensation. But if you're feeling it in your sacral, if you're feeling it in your lower area, that's your intuition. That's your gut speaking to you, saying to go forward. So that's always a little test that I like to do with myself, and what I like to just teach to my clients and my friends, is knowing the difference between excitement and fear, because I think that they're so closely related. Is excitement, you're like all rallied up, and then so is fear, because you're in this anxious state of being. So being able to tell the difference between them, I think, will really be able to help a lot of the viewers and the listeners, and bring that. It doesn't have to be with your business. It can just be with your personal life, or any decisions that you have to make, is feeling that pain or feeling that anxiety or feeling that decision, and seeing where it resides in your body so that you can address it and see what the true meaning is.
Yeah, I think the physical body is so important. I love that we keep bringing it up, because people tend to think that it's not all connected, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to agree with you. If I feel something in my stomach, I actually get the butterflies really bad.
Mm.
And I've never gotten it from a romantic context. And which is so funny, because that's how we associate it.
Yeah.
I always get it when my intuition is spot on about something.
Huh. That's interesting.
And so
because you haven't met the one, that's why.
I've met many a one. No. It's, I've gotten it in regards to a person, but I guess I should say, like, no one's ever given it to me. I've gotten it in a romantic context before, in the sense that if I ask about somebody and I get that feeling, but that's my intuition talking. It's not because they bought me flowers or something like that. So it is interesting, because it does kind of reside in this area. And I always know when I'm starting to feel that feeling in my stomach, like I'm hitting on something really deep and something really powerful. And you had said before something that reminded me of a Macklemore song, which I know is like so silly, but there's like a lyric in one of his songs that says, it's so ridiculous, but you said it, and it speaks so true for what I think a lot of millennials. It's from Thrift Shop. No, I'm joking.
I don't even know what that is. So
yes, you do.
I do.
It's like a din, 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 din. Yes, you know Thrift Shop.
No, although I'm living in 2016, my soul's still living in like 1968.
I'm like somewhere between the 50s and the 80s, but like never in the 60s. I like skip right over that decade.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's either like hardcore 50s music or like 70s or 80s, like disco or rock. No, but Macklemore has this song called 10,000 Hours, and it's such a beautiful song, and I love it because it reminds me of why I do what I do. And one of the lyrics is a generation of kids choosing love over a desk. And that's, I think, where we are.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm honestly putting in my Spotify account just so I remember to look at it.
I'll send you something later and I'll post it in the show notes when I post the show notes, because in the beginning of the year, either towards the end of last year or the beginning of this year, I can't really remember, but I wrote down 10 lessons that you can learn from this song. And I'll send it to you because it was one of the coolest things I've written. That didn't get a lot of attention because it wasn't a blog post. It was something I just happened to write on Facebook. But it's one of my favorite things that I wrote, because this song talks about what it really means. And the song's called 10,000 Hours, and how much love and dedication and rejection and all of that comes into owning this elated feeling that you feel when you finally get what you want. And that's what we're really talking about. And in order for him to get there, whether it's Macklemore, whether it's you, or whether it's me, or whether it's someone from the audience, it takes all of us to go through those layers of consciousness in order to end up in this place where to end up at the Emerald City.
I agree.
Circle. So,
this has been good. Really diving into the consciousness and speaking about how we should really be trusting our intuition more, because our intuition is something within us and something greater than us making that connection.
I'm really healing. I'm not verbalizing how much I'm healing right now, but as we're talking about this, I'm really hitting some deep levels for myself. And
good.
It's I knew today was going to be powerful for me. We've said this from since the morning.
Yeah, me and Julia text all day long, like, is it 7 o'clock yet?
This podcast is really becoming such a baby, such a passion project that's really, I don't know, giving me so much hopefulness. And you start to realize how much is, I wrote so much for the notes today, and I actually had to force myself to go into it, because I feel like I just channel so much while I'm here, and I'm getting all of these messages and I don't have enough time to write them down for myself.
Tell them to wait.
I'm like, excuse me one second. Well, I've seen something walking behind you the whole time, but it's because then I saw something behind me before.
No way.
So we just have angels all over the place right now. They're like, we wait for nobody.
I know.
But it is. It's this beautiful platform that's allowing me to heal, and it's so interesting what comes up for me each episode and the reaction that I'm having in the 2 weeks. And I can really feel already this powerful shift that I'm experiencing in my own conscious awareness about things going on in my life, and it's really beautiful. It's so healing, even for us.
Oh yeah,
we're right there with you, going through this healing process. Especially me. I feel it. I'm really feeling it on every level.
Yeah. Well, one of my mentors, Gabrielle Bernstein, she always says, to teach is to learn. And I kind of feel like that's exactly where we're at right now, is that we're teaching, and as we're teaching, we're learning and we're healing too.
Yeah, she's great to follow.
Yeah, check her out, guys.
We'll put a link to her in the show notes.
Yeah, give her some love.
Yeah, she's amazing.
I guess we'll get into the readings. I think we only have time for about 2 people because we're already over. So I definitely just want to reach maybe 2 people, if that's okay with you, Julia. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. All right. So the first person, let me see. Let me just read through it. Okay, the first person, her name is Jody. And she wants to know if her daughter will be leaving her current job and getting a new one. Yes. I don't want to say the careers. She wrote out the companies, but I don't want to give that away. So, yeah, so she's wondering if she's going to be able to leave where she currently is and find a new position, basically, for her daughter.
Okay. I'm going to pull a card.
I'm going to use my pendulum because this is helping me to tap into my super consciousness.
I'm already feeling like the answer is yes. She's going to be able to leave. And why do I say that right now? Before I even flip my card is because what have we been talking about all night? You have the power to create your own reality.
Yes.
Already right away, the answer is yes. She doesn't have to do any one particular thing, you know, whatever the companies are, but what I am getting is it might not be coming as fast as she wants, because I feel like there's some things in the subconscious that she's going through that she needs to really
some sort of
let go of. And actually the card that I picked, and I'm working tonight with, let me see if I can get a picture of it, the Goddess deck by Doreen Virtue.
I love that deck.
I know, it's one of my favorite decks. And the card that I picked is Easy Does It.
Calm down.
So you can't make it up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And so it actually says in the card, there's no need to hurry or force things to happen because everything is occurring in perfect timing. And that's such a beautiful message with what we've been talking about tonight. This is for everybody listening to. This message isn't just about, you know,
isn't just for this person, whoever's listening. If this is resonating with you, it's for you as well.
I think there's a lot of people that are ready to transition careers, but I think that astrologically speaking, not even, you know, with the rest of the energy going on, you know, we have Mars in retrograde and Jupiter is in retrograde and Pluto is in retrograde and now Mercury is in retrograde. We have a lot of things that are stagnant right now, and the energy astrologically isn't necessarily ready for people to bust wide open and make these shifts. That's not for everybody, but it's for some people, and it depends on what's in your chart and whatnot. But how I'm particularly feeling this one situation is that, yes, it's coming, but it's not the right time. I don't feel like she's learned all of her lessons from her current job.
Yeah.
And I feel like she really needs to embrace and look at what she needs to learn from this job in order to move on to her next level and to gain what she needs to learn there. Because I don't even feel like that next stop is the last stop. I feel like there's another career transition after.
Yeah, I agree. When I asked my pen, I don't know if you guys can see it, so I'm just gonna clear it. Mine swings around. And then when I said, will she be leaving? It says yes. So same thing with Julia, and just intuitively, I feel like the same way that Julia's feeling is that she's gonna leave, but it's not gonna be exactly in the way that I think she thought that she was going to leave. And I don't know if it's going to be at the company that she feels like she's going to leave it for. Like, I think that is still up in the air. The only advice that I would say is to just continually visualize where she wants to be, not necessarily the company, but visualize how she wants to feel on this new career. So that way you're not putting any restrictions on how the universe wants to guide you or you know, to hook you up. How that we've been speaking about is that, you know, we have this like small little box of where we think that we need to be, and the universe has a whole nother plan that's so much more beautiful and bigger than we could have ever even imagined. So the advice is, yes, you're going to leave, but hold the vision of how you want to feel in this new career. And also practice being grateful for where you're at, because as Julia was saying, in order to kind of move through those chapters and to release this current career, I think gratitude will be a big learning curve for you, and being grateful for, even if it sucks, even if you hate your career, grateful for the experience, because there's got to be something there that you're needing to learn, and that's why you were brought to that career.
Yeah, and I like what you said about I like that you said before, it might not be at the company that she thinks she's going to, because that's attaching to an outcome, and that is your consciousness.
Yeah.
So she needs to connect to that super conscious level and remember that it might not be the way that she wants or the things that she wants, because they might have something better planned for her. So
yeah, and I think it does.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. So good luck, Jody. Tell your daughter good luck and keep us posted. And then we'll just take one more question because I know we're running out of time. But this is from Sharon. And she wants to know if she should make natural homemade products, so she should continue that as a career or keep it as a hobby.
Oh, interesting. Am I a little biased in this one? Sharon makes natural homemade products from my kitchen.
All right, so I'm gonna pick a card too with this one.
Yeah, go for it. Ooh, I got an interesting card.
Me too.
Okay. Who's going first?
I'll go first because you went
Okay.
first this time. We'll switch. All right, so Sharon, the first card I was shuffling, this card popped out, and it's called Perception, and it's all about the heart chakra. So I thought that that's really interesting. So it's making me feel that it's what your energy is surrounding these products. I think that you can make it a business, but I feel like that there's something in your subconscious that is affecting you and how you are perceiving what these products are. Maybe you feel like that it's not good enough for you, or maybe you feel that that's not enough for you right now, but I think that you can make it into a monetary benefit to your business. And I think it's something that is in alignment with you. I think it's just your perception, how you're perceiving how these products should be used. Again, it's giving it up to the universe and allowing that to guide through you, because I think it's going to be a little bit different than how you had originally intended. And then the next card that I picked was, of course, Instinct, which is basically your intuition.
I love that wolf.
Yeah. I know, the wolf. So cute. Yeah, but I think it's really up to you. And I hate just saying that because it's not like a definitive answer. But I think that if you want it to be something that is part of your career, you can make that happen. And when I asked my pendulum, it said yes, that you could make money from it.
And it's interesting because I got Artemis, the Guardian card. And it says, you and your loved ones are spiritually protected and safe.
Ooh.
And yeah, and so when I read that at first, it seems sometimes we get an answer that doesn't seem connected, but it really is connected because, first of all, let me backtrack. I am biased because that's my mom. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Now, I live with two very young kids. My parents had kids when I was 16 and 18, and so my brother and sister are a lot younger than me. And sometimes I know that having a client is really hard, and you're not always able to spend all that time meeting 1 hour, 2 hours with a client when you could be at home making these all-natural products, and it saves you all this time that you could be meeting with a client, So I think it's really interesting that card came up, that you're protected, because it's saying to me the same thing. Doesn't really matter which direction you choose, because they're giving you the power to choose for yourself and to make the right choice, not just for you, but it says you and your loved ones. Mm-hmm. So that's taking my younger brother and sister, my younger brother and sister, it's totally taking them into consideration and saying, well, hey, we understand that your situation is maybe not ideal to be meeting with clients, for 30 hours a week, but you can be making these all natural products or something else, if that's what comes along, and selling them to stores, and you're making profit in a different way, and you're still having the spiritually based business, and you're putting your spiritual energy into it, but not necessarily in the same time consuming way. And you're still making the money, and you're still doing the spirituality, but with a different twist. And I think it's really interesting knowing what my mom's abilities are, because my mom gets some really cool esoteric stuff, and my mom's a phenomenal healer. And it's interesting to see how maybe she can bring those aspects to her clients in a different way with these natural products.
I say go for it, Sharon.
I think so too.
Thumbs up.
And they're good. I mean,
yeah,
I'm also
they're amazing.
biased.
Totally not biased, but they're amazing.
I use them at home all the time. No, a lot of the stuff that we use is through the essential oils, which I'm a huge promoter of. So a lot of that stuff we use, I mean, it's such a new and eye-opening thing to see so many people interested in these organic products and natural cleaning products, and how do I use essential oils in my laundry or in my dishwasher or in all this stuff. And my mom does a really phenomenal job of creating yoga mat cleaner or natural quote unquote Windex. And they are great products, just maybe not reaching the market in the right way.
Yeah.
It seems like maybe she needs a branding specialist to help her get out there.
Yes. Sharon, if you're listening, I'll help you out. Yeah, so those are fun. Yeah. So again, I think it was interesting that both of the people that we chose, it was all about trusting and allowing. And that just goes in complete theme with our episode, which is trusting your intuition and seeing where you're receiving your information from. Is it from the conscious level, subconscious, or super conscious? And seeing how that flows through you and how you're able to connect and receive information.
Yeah, absolutely. No coincidences.
No coincidence.
And that's why those two came up.
Of course.
Versus other ones.
For everyone that's listening, if this is resonating with you, know that these messages are for you too, because we're all here for a reason and we're all connected.
Yeah, so beautiful.
So this has been great. I want to leave you guys with a mantra to use that I think would be very powerful, whether if you use it in your meditation or maybe if you're just feeling anxious and you feel like unsupported. I want you to use this mantra, and it's called I trust and I allow. I trust and I allow. And I think that will help a lot of people to surrender and allow that energy to move through you, or to allow yourself to be guided. Don't even think about it in like a crazy spiritual way of like energy flowing through you. Just think of it, I'm being guided. I'm allowing myself to be guided. These doors are opening for me. I don't know how it's happening, but it's happening. Everything is coming up that's going to be in my best interest. I know that there's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be fearful of, because the universe would never steer me wrong. So I trust and I allow. So try bringing that into your meditation. Maybe you want to write it on a Post-it note. Sometimes I make them as little alarms to go off throughout the day. So that just kind of recalibrates my mindset, so that I can just snap out of that fearful thought that I'm having, and just to bring myself back center, bring myself back home.
I do the same thing. It's so funny.
Awesome.
That's why I set alarms. I'm like, believe, trust in the universe. We have apps for that. Maybe we should create an app.
We should. Coming up, the Awaken Life app. No, I'm just kidding.
Maybe not, though. Let's not say just yet. Okay, so before we go, anything that you'll see in that you saw us use tonight, our cards, or I'll even put a link to some pendulums maybe. You can get all that through our Amazon affiliate link. It costs you nothing extra if it's something that you're interested in buying anyway and you're looking for some spiritual resources or tools, or even if you're not, you can click on the link and it costs you nothing extra, but it just gives us a little something, a little bit of the proceeds from your purchase. So there's that. You can also subscribe to us in iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play. And I know that it's a little outdated to say that I'm using an Android at this point, but I just switched over from an Apple phone to an Android phone. And my biggest concern was, how am I going to listen to my podcast? Which sounds a little, egotistical, but it was one of my...
That's your ego talking.
Yeah. Definitely. It was definitely a concern of mine, though, and I want to let people know that if you're using an Android phone, you can use this app called Podcast Addict, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes with the rest of the stuff. It allows you to get the podcast from the original source, which 99.9% of the time is from iTunes, and it still downloads and everything automatically for you. It's just not through iTunes, since you can't have that on your Android phone. So I just wanted to let people know that that's out there, because I think that's something that I didn't know about, because Apple is just taking over the world.
Yes.
So there's that. And I wanted to also say the best way that you can help the podcast right now is by sharing it with your family and friends. So we post this on our Facebook pages, which we'll talk about in a second. But we post it on our Facebook pages, but you can share it when it goes on iTunes, and just share it with as many people as you can. If you feel
write a review.
Yes, write a review for us. And that's a lot of the biggest ways right now that we can reach a bigger audience, which is, I think, one of our bigger goals. We just want to help spread consciousness to and awareness to so many people. So the best way that you can help the podcast right now is by writing a review for us in iTunes, or by sharing it on your Facebook or your social media pages. And speaking of that, you can find Brianna at Miss Brianna Rose on Facebook, and you can find me either on Instagram at jport with 3 T's, or on Facebook at The Divine Duo. And until next time, this is The Awakened Life for New Age babes. Come for life and business tips.
Woohoo! Bye, everyone.
See you next time.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.